Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club. And it is already another Tuesday. It is the 9th of January, and it's so good to see everybody. Of course, you all know this year I'm only here on Tuesdays, and so I want to make sure that I catch up with everybody, make sure that everybody catches up with me. So I want to see how you all are doing and how your year is going and that sort of thing. Do you have your decorations down already? I'll ask people that. But it is a good day. It's a good day to be alive and just a good day, period. And that's what I'm going to say every day this year. It's just a good day, period. I'm checking in because I know that people are experiencing bad weather. They're dealing with all that kind of stuff. So make sure, number one, that wherever you are, that you're safe and that you're warm and those things, so that you're warm and safe. Weather has been kind of treacherous. I had to travel in the weather today, but I'm okay. Things are well. So you'll see I'm actually here in a hotel room tonight, but all is well. Didn't have any incidents, any accidents, so I arrived here safely, and I'm glad about that. I want to ask you all, haven't you had enough of the negativity already? I mean, we're in 2024, and today I was just thinking, enough with the negativity already, and I'll get back to that, but that is why we meet. We meet here in this space because for us, this is a space about inspiration. It's about motivation. It is about challenging ourselves to be out the best version of ourselves. It's about challenging ourselves to make sure that we show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. So just enough with the negativity already. Sometimes you just need to tell people, listen, enough with the negativity already. You remember I said, as we come into this year, we're going to come to this year with a kind of a so what attitude. Everything didn't go well in 2023. So what? I'm good. I'm moving on. So for me, enough with the negativity already. Enough with the things that we're hearing on social media about everybody and just all of that kind of stuff. Enough with the negativity already. So if people are stopping by and they're like, what is that guy talking about? Who is he? And if this is your first time, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And once you subscribe, click on the notification bell button, because it lets you know whenever I've gone live and whenever I've uploaded new content. So I am here, and it is my goal. It is my goal to make sure that I offer something that is inspirational, something that is motivational, and something that is challenging. And I know it's January, but it may be challenging for us to say enough with the negativity already. I want to talk about that because the world seems to thrive off of negativity, but not us. That negativity is not what I feed on. It's not what I feast on. It's not what fuels me. There were 3 F's. It's not what I feast on. It's not what feeds me, and it's not what fuels me. So you don't let it fuel you either, because you are what you eat. It's really true. You are what you digest. You are what you process. So if you process negativity, you're going to become negativity. If you eat negativity, that's what you are going to become. So I'm not going to become like the rest of the world. I don't thrive off of negativity. I don't. Not at all. Not at all. And so one of the things that I want to offer us this evening is a way that is a way for us to become better and show up. Let me shout out the LTTC VIPs for just a moment. Those are the people who make it over to the chat room first. Sometimes they get there before me. So let me go over here and shout out the people who hopped over in there and almost beat me there. And they are Hattie Boone, Tracy Johnson, Linda Martin. Good evening to all of you, and all the others. I do see you. So come on in and say hi. I see some of you are having some Let's Talk to Color withdrawal syndromes. Tracy said last Thursday. Let's see. I felt like I had forgotten to do something, and it was missing Let's Talk to Color. Oh, Well, I'll try to do my best with making it up and doing a compact version, a power pack version of the Tuesday sessions, Tracy. So I want to make sure that these 1,800 seconds really matter. Let's say McDonald said, yes, my decorations are down. My home feels a little empty. I kind of feel the same way. My decorations are down, and so it's different. I'll have to readjust to it. And it's funny. It was just only they were only up for a couple of weeks, but I got used to them. But you all, I want you all to say to people, enough. Dunmore, I said, Bobby Dunmore, I say, yeah, enough. Enough with the negativity already. There are enough negative stories out there, enough clips out there, enough news coverages. It's enough already. And I don't want us to get caught up in that, because negativity, uh, you don't want to become that. We're about becoming positive people. We say this is the space where we are on our road, on our way to a space and a place that's called better. And sometimes you have to make sure that you are intentional about avoiding the things that are distracting you. Make sure you are intentional about avoiding the things that are distracting you from reaching your goals, the things that are distracting you from becoming better, the things that are distracting you from recognizing your success, the things that are distracting you from realizing your victories, the things that are distracting you from winning. And it's not always things, but sometimes it's people. And I want to talk about, how do we avoid negativity? How do we avoid negative people? And not only how do we avoid negative people, but how do we avoid negativity with us? Because sometimes it's not negativity coming from the outside, but sometimes it is the negativity that comes from within. How do we tackle that, Cutler? How do we acknowledge it? And how do we handle it? Because you can't handle what you don't acknowledge. And sometimes you just have to look at yourself and do a character assessment. You have to do a personality assessment and say, what is going on with me? Has my personality become sour? What does my character look like? How does my integrity measure up? It used to measure up on a scale of 1 to 10. It used to be around an 8 or 9, but now it's like a 6 or 7. My attitude, what does my attitude look like when I compare it to other people, when I compare to how I want it to look? How does my attitude compare? And we have to say that, because I want us, as we're moving into this year, I want us to set the tone and set the foundation for positive things, because I really do believe in the power of speech. I believe in the power of speech. I believe that you can say you can have what you say, and you can become what you say. So then I want us to say, enough with the negativity already. And how do we handle that? How do we tackle that? Well, let's talk about it for just a moment. Let's talk about that for just a moment. So listen, shout out to all of you all. Thank you so much, those of you who follow me. But make sure you go and tell other people, come on and let's talk the color, because I want to talk about for just a moment, as we're setting the foundation for 2024. How do we handle color? How do we deal with the negativity in other people? And then how do we deal with the negativity in us? I only got 1,800 seconds. Let's go ahead and tackle this thing. One of the things that we need to do in terms of dealing with the negativity in other people, and this is what I say. I want us to say this is going to challenge us, you all, because remember I said that this platform is about inspiration, it is about motivation, it is about challenging us to show up our best selves even in the worst of situations. There are people who create some of these worst situations for us, and you have to be on guard with how to handle it. Don't fall victim, don't fall prey to some of the traps that people set. Some of us fall right on into those little traps that people set for us. And then we fall into those traps and we try to find ourselves fighting and digging our way out. Avoid the traps altogether. Some of us are old enough, we're settled enough, we're mature enough, we're wise enough not to fall into the traps. I almost feel like a Baptist preacher and wanted to say, look at your neighbor and say, don't fall in the trap. But we need to say to people, we need to say to ourselves, I'm not falling into that trap. And I'm not going there and then try to dig my way out. So when it comes to dealing with negative people, sometimes I just want to say to folk, don't take it personally. Do not take negative people. Don't take their comments personally. How can I not take it personally when they directed their comments towards me? You have to be careful. Before you all, I'm getting ready to offer this guidance. And really, I'm just trying to help save our lives. And before you allow what a negative person says, Before you allow what a negative person says to penetrate your thoughts and to penetrate your mind and cause you to see that as a part of you, look at what it says about them. Don't look at their negative statements in terms of what it says about you, but look at their negative statements in terms of what it says about them. Can I tell you what is sometimes going on in the minds of negative people, what's going on in the lives of negative people? So when I say don't take it personally, don't let it apply to you. Ask yourself, before you take it personally, ask yourself, and let me know if this is helping you all. What does this statement say, not about me, but what does it say about the individual? When they come with all this negativity about others and sometimes about me, what does it say about other people? What does it say about them? I can tell you why negative people sometimes make negative statements. Ask me why. I'll wait for y'all to ask me. I'm joking. Let me just go ahead and say that sometimes negative people make negative statements because they are insecure. And you have to ask yourself, all right, before I take this personally, let me examine it from a different perspective. What does it say about them? Not what does it say about me or what does it say about the person they're talking about, but what does it say about them? Sometimes negative people make negative statements because they are insecure. Let's just call a thing a thing. Sometimes negative people make negative statements because they are intimidated. Come on, y'all. Let's just go with it in January in 2024. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Sometimes negative people make negative statements because they are just angry. They are unhappy people. Sometimes they are afraid. Sometimes they are unsure of themselves. And sometimes they're just diverting. And before you allow a statement that a negative person has made to infiltrate and penetrate your persona and who you are, ask yourself, what does it say about them? Because negative statements have more to do with the person who's making them than the person that they are making them about. Don't get caught up in it. Don't fall into these traps and then find yourself trying to fight out of them. Because when you get caught up in that negative web and you allow it to penetrate your persona and your integrity and your character, you find yourself trying to fight to get out of it. But if you take my advice and you say, you know what, let me see what it says about him or her. Oh, you're insecure. That's why you said that. Oh, you're intimidated. That's why you said, oh, you're angry. Okay, you're unhappy. You're just diverting. No. Don't take these statements personally. But Cutler, how can I not? I just showed you how you cannot. Consider what it says about them, not about you or not about the person they're talking about. So don't take these, not in 2024, don't take these statements personally. And sometimes I know I've been there, done that, you all, and got a whole lot of emotional scars from the negative statements that people have made. But I wish I knew then what I know now. I wish I knew the fortitude in me now. I wish I knew about it then like I know about it now. I wish I knew about the tenacity and the stick-to-itness and the wherewithal. I wish I knew the perseverance. I wish I knew then what I know now. I wish I had then what I had now, but I did not have it back then. And so during those back then days, those statements really affected me and they scarred me. I got to be honest, they scarred me and they scraped me, and I'm still dealing with some of the scars. But now, no. Some of those statements, most of those statements, they don't even bother me because I consider the source. My mother has always told me, consider the source. And so sometimes you just got to consider the source. Oh, that's a negative person. That's a person who's afraid. That's a person who's unhappy. That's a person who's fearful. And then another way to deal with the negative people, y'all, make sure that you create space between you and them. Don't give in to the trap that they're trying to set. Because one of the things that negativity does, it throws you off your game. It's sort of it's almost like an electrical storm. It short circuits your system. And it provokes these kind of responses where you really haven't even thought about. And so you have to be careful. That's why I'm saying with the first strategy, look at what it says about that person. And when you're looking at what it says about that person, you won't become short-circuited. You won't give in to the urges to respond, but instead you'll breathe deeply and say, you know what, I'm dealing with someone who's a clown. I'm dealing with someone who's afraid. I'm dealing with someone who's immature. And it creates this space for you to act with intention and with deliberation. And you can be very intentional about how you react and respond. You can be very deliberate about how you react and how you respond. And so that way you won't respond to, let's see, an email with anger. You won't respond to a text mail with immaturity. You won't respond to a statement with something that is out of your character. You got to be careful about all of that. And sometimes people call me, they say I wear this smile that just a cutting smile. But a lot of times you just have to look at people and remain peaceful and smile at them. You know, your smile may not be validating what they said, but your smile is saying to yourself, I'm in charge of how I respond. I'm in charge of how I react. And before I allow them to get the best of me, I would take myself into a space of peace. And so you just smile. And you just chuckle and just laugh. And some of my friends know that they know that laugh that's not a response to humor, but it is one of those that says, okay, I'm going to maintain my decorum here. I'm going to create my space of peace, and I'm going to dwell here. I'm going to exist here. And so that is how you handle negative people. I'm telling you all, consider them, consider the source. And don't become short-circuited whereby you end up responding in such a way. And let me just say this, you do not lack the maturity. Sometimes we just go off the deep end because we want to. We just don't want to exercise discipline. Oh, Cutler, you're stepping on our feet now. This is hurting. But it is true. Sometimes we don't exercise discipline simply because we don't want to. Or we think in the moment, I'm going to look weak if I don't respond in a certain way. No, you're going to look crazy if you do respond in a certain way, because you're going to look in such a way that it questions your character. It diminishes your integrity, and you don't get a chance. You always don't get a second chance to make a first impression. I see Bobby Demo said, "Dear God, help thou my responses." It is true. So let that be our challenge in 2024. You don't have to respond all kind of ways, because we want to get our digs in. We want to be curt. We want to be short. We want to be irascible. We want to be abrasive. We want to be all of those things. We want to give them a piece of our mind. We want all of that. We want to get them told. We want to show them that they're not going to run over me. Well, you know what? By evaluating their perspective and who they are, you just simply say, okay, you know what? I see what's going on here. This statement comes from someone who's immature. And so don't respond to what they say. Respond to who they are. Uh-oh, I just said something. Don't respond to what they say, but respond to who they are. That's how you deal with people. That I think in my adult life, that is why I've been so successful in my interactions with people, because I don't always respond to what they say, but I always respond to who they are. Because many times I have to say to them, you know what? I see you. And it's not what you said, but it's the you that I see. Okay, that's who you are. You just told me who you were. So just say to people and say to yourself, you know what, enough with the negativity already, and I'm not going to get caught up in the drama. Got to say it, you all. And then many times we ourselves, we have to make sure that we don't become negative. We have to strive. We have to be intentional about not becoming negative. How many of us, you don't have to raise your hands, you don't have to say anything. How many times have we found ourselves becoming negative, and then you walked away, or you replayed that whole incident and you didn't like who you were in that moment? How many times have we responded? Have we said something? Have we done something? And we walked away. Maybe it was the next moment, the next hour, the next day. And you looked back at how you responded and you did not like who you were in that moment. I'm saying we can avoid those moments, you all. We really can. We can avoid those moments. Because now you're strategizing, how do I get my name back? how do I win my reputation back? And we say we don't care, but we do. We care what people think about us. We care how they think about us. We care what they say about us in the marketplace. We care what they say about us in certain circles. Yes, we do. Because when we get to the place where we really don't care, then we become the cold negative people. But there's a way to avoid becoming a negative person. Again, it's out there, it's everywhere, and it is easier. It seems easy sometimes to hop on the bandwagon of negativity. But what I'm challenging us to do this year as we start this year off right is to do something that I call a toxic purge. A what, Cutler? A toxic purge. And don't feel bad about it. I know I've talked about maybe, building relationships, conflict resolution, and all of that. But at some point, we have to say to ourselves, get rid of the toxic people out of my life. If you have family members or friends or people in your space who are making you miserable, then it's better to distance yourself from them because it can lead to negativity. So what am I saying? Do a toxic purge. You know the people who are negative. And when you yourself sometimes would almost become, we know it. Let's not pretend that we don't. And so be careful. Be careful that people are not doing a toxic purge on us. Uh-oh, wow, Cutler, really? Yes, you all, we got to be careful. I told you this platform is about not only inspiration and motivation, but it is about challenging ourselves to become better. And if this is not for you, maybe somebody who's in your space, in your circle, in your community, in your village. We've got to become better. That's right, Linda. That send button doesn't have a 3-second delay. Once you send it, that's it. It doesn't have a 3-second delay. It's done. It's there. And then now what? What have I said about myself? So create some distance between you and that toxic person or the toxic people. It doesn't mean that you hate them. It does not mean that. It does not mean that you dislike them. Why would, and I say do a toxic purge and don't feel bad about it. Why would you feel bad about getting rid of negativity from your life? Why? Why would you feel bad about getting rid of the things and the people in your life who mean you no good? Again, it doesn't mean that you have to hate them. It means that you love yourself enough to create a space. You need to understand sometimes that other people's bad behavior is making your life more difficult. Sometimes we know that and we hang on to it. We get some kind of high out of hanging on to the negative people, the negativity that people breed in our lives. But I don't. I'm not like that. So then, Cutler, what else do we do to keep from becoming a negative person? Here's one of the things that I recommend, and I call it keep some positive go-tos. Just keep some positive go-tos because we know sometimes when we're right on the verge, we're right on the edge, and something could push us over. Keep yourself some positive go-tos. What do you mean? Positive pictures. Line up some things this year. This is a challenge. Line up some things this year. Have some things within arm's reach within your home, within your space, within your living space that will foster and nurture some positive thoughts. So have some positive pictures that that are going to make you smile, pictures that are going to make you laugh, pictures that are going to make you nostalgic, pictures that are going to put you in a positive mindset. So have some positive pictures around. Have some positive books around. You may not read the whole book, but have a few positive books around. So when you look at the spine, you look at the cover, you understand what the concept is about. Have some positive people who are your go-to that you can just call on the phone, that you can text, that you can just reach out to immediately when you know you're on the verge of becoming negative. So have what I call a positive lineup this year. Make the effort now. May I suggest that if we make the effort now, we won't have to work so hard as the year is progressing. But have some positive go-tos. pictures and books and people, positive thoughts. That's why you all know the whole, for me, it is about the power of positive affirmation. That's why I love the book that I wrote, Billboards to Better. Positive thoughts and positive affirmations, so that when I would become negative, I have some positive affirmations. When I would become negative, I have some positive pictures. When I would become negative, I have some positive people in my life. And as you have, become that for other people. Be the person that people can call and say, listen, I was having a bad moment and I just need someone to offer me some positivity, to pour positivity into my life. It's important. It is so important that we create and we set this foundation, because with all the garbage and the dirt that we're hearing in social media, I've said to people, I'm not a garbage can. And they've said to me, well, Cutler, what do you think about that? What, I don't have an opinion. Oh, you've got to have an opinion. No, I don't. I don't have to have an opinion, because I remember years ago, I just graduated from Howard, and on this one job, and people would, they used to ask this young lady, what did she think about X, Y, and Z? And she said, what is going on with that person does not affect my life one way or the other. I adopted that back in 1988, and 1988. I adopted that back in 1988, and I've held on to it ever since then. I don't always have to have an opinion. And sometimes, even if I have an opinion, I don't have to voice it. Let's learn to keep our opinions to ourselves. What do you think about what they're saying about so-and-so? I don't have an opinion. And even if I have an opinion, I know I don't have to voice it, because what is going on in that individual's household, in that individual's life, does not affect my life one way or the other. So no, you're not going to pull me onto that negativity bandwagon. You're not going to do that. Not at all. And we have to learn to say that to people, because otherwise we become judgmental, we become accusatory, we become all of the things that we don't like in people. And again, that goes back to my integrity. Because don't you know that when you get caught up in that, and you get and you hop on that bandwagon, it really does, Jay Song, for you, you're right. Yes, it is your integrity measurement. Absolutely. Cutler, have you heard? Yeah, I've heard. And you mean you don't have an opinion? I sure don't. Don't have to have one. Well, does it bother you that? Well, why would it bother me if it doesn't affect my life? Why would it bother me? Again, enough with the negativity already. And sometimes you just have to throw your hands up and say, I'm not going to have anything to do with it. I love that, Linda. I have to learn to say I don't have an opinion. And you can say that. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. And people they pull at you, and they pull at you. And sometimes they're pulling because they don't have an opinion, and they just want to hop on what it is that you have to say. And this year, I'm saying I'm avoiding negativity at all costs. I don't have an opinion. So let's just make sure we do that. I wanted to challenge us by saying again, enough negativity already. Bishop can't giving ourselves a space for negative reflection, make us cognizant to be able to work out a solution. Our negative emotions sometimes motivate us to drive us to change. Yeah, well, yeah. So when we talk about the negative emotions, thank you, Auntie. It's so good to see you. Can't giving ourselves a space for negative reflection, make us cognizant to be able to work out a solution. Yes, absolutely. Because it gives us an opportunity when we're talking about negative reflections, and maybe I should pick up with that. But when we're talking about the ability to say, let me evaluate who I am. Let me work on me. So it's one thing to have negative emotions, but negative behavior is really what I'm talking about. So not just my emotions, because my negative emotions are a part of who I am. And sometimes, Auntie, I have to realize that emotions are just fleeting. And And I have to say that sometimes, okay, so this negative emotion that I'm experiencing, this is not the end all be all. This is not the totality of who I am. And so to avoid becoming a negative person, I'm not my emotions, because my emotions in the moment may be sadness, my emotions in the moment may be anger, my emotions in the moment could be any of those. But I have to say to myself that my emotions are not who I am. My emotions are fleeting, they will change. And I have to allow myself not to become that person. So absolutely yes. So giving myself the space to evaluate who I am and how I feel is one thing, but just hopping on the bandwagon of negativity and negative thoughts and negative comments and negative behavior that other people are trying to feed me, that's really what I'm dealing with. All the hearsays and all of that kind of stuff. Enough with that already, you all. Enough with that already. Well, did you see on social media? I saw it. Uh-huh. Yeah. And in that vein, Auntie, in that regard, if I'm creating a platform, if I'm creating a healthy platform where I know that my motives and my intentions and my goals are to offer a solution, that's one thing. But we know by far and large, most people who are breeding negativity and who are sharing negativity, many times it's just to do that. But I'm not going to feed on it. I'm not going to be fueled by it, and I'm not going to feast on it. Not just not going to do that. So sometimes you have to work. You have to do the work to avoid the negativity. You have to do the work to avoid becoming negative. And one of the things, and I need to go after I share this, you all. Thank you, Auntie. I love you, my friend. I want to share this with us. One of the things too that we can do to make sure that we don't become negative is to make sure that we don't become idle. IDLE, where we're just lingering and not doing anything, because many times you can go from idle to empty and you don't even know it. So that means you have not busied yourself with doing things that are productive. You have not busied yourself with walking in your purpose. You have not busied yourself with doing things that lead you to progress. You have not busied yourself with doing things that you're passionate about. So I want to challenge us, don't go this year. Don't go from idle to empty. Make sure that you busy yourself with doing things that you're passionate about. Busy yourself with doing things that put you on your walk in purpose and on purpose. Do things that will busy yourself with saying, I'm making progress, I'm doing something. Busy yourself. Busy yourself. It's better to keep yourself busy doing stuff that's positive rather than becoming idle and eventually empty, where stuff can be poured into you. Be careful with what's poured into you this year. Make sure that there is a purpose for your existence. Make sure that you're walking in purpose, that you have somewhere to go, that you have something to do. And I'm not saying that in the natural and the physical all the time, but my mind, my heart, my soul says I've got a purpose, and I have to align my life with what my purpose is all about, what my destiny is all about. And so that way you don't go idle and you don't end up empty. I think the next time we're here, we will engage ourselves on what I call word guard. When we now come back to not speaking negativity, but we come back to speaking positivity over our lives and over the people who are connected to us. Because there is something about the power of affirmation. There's something about the power of words. There's something about the power of the tongue, because it is true. Death and life, not just within the religious content, but really in the power of speech. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. I am who I say I am. Certainly, my faith lines up with the fact that I am who the Creator says I am. But next to that, I am also who I say I am. And so we will make ourselves available to positive affirmations and word guard. So the next time we meet next Tuesday, we'll come together and we will use the power of our tongues to see ourselves in this positive light. Because again, enough with the negativity already. Thank you all so very much for allowing me to come into whatever space you've allowed me, whether it's your home, your hotel room, your living room, your dining room, your front porch, or wherever you are. Thank you all so much for extending me the invitation to come into your space. I appreciate you all so very much. And let's keep doing what we do. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Make sure that keep your heads up and your hopes up. Stay safe, stay sane. And again, if you're affected by this the storm that we're having, make sure that you are somewhere safe. And until the next time we meet, do me a favor, you all, tell somebody else. Let's not just spend these 1,800 seconds together, but tell somebody else, come on and let's talk to color. Please know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. I'll see you all the next time I see you. Good night, everybody.